Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to This or That number 6. Hello, if you're new here, welcome to my channel and welcome back everyone. If this is a series that you are new to, let me tell you a little bit about how it works. So in This or That, I basically pair decks that I think fill a sort of similar space in my collection. It's not always clear just by looking at the decks why I'm pitting them against one another, but often it's because they're the kind of deck I might reach for in a similar situation, or I feel like they have a similar feel, or for whatever reason, I feel like they're sort of slotting into the same spot. And one thing you'll know if you watch my channel regularly, or you'll come to find out, is that I like to have decks that kind of fit a wide variety of sort of energies and purposes so that everything gets a little bit of love. And I like to rotate my decks, and I like them as much as possible to almost all get a little bit of love. There are a few exceptions where I just want to have the deck to collect it, but 99% of the time I want to use it. So if I find that there's decks that are languishing, I'll start to think about them critically in this way. And I thought this would be a fun way to bring you guys along for the process. Now, I do ask your guys' opinions too, because I think it's really interesting to see what you guys prefer out of every pairing. And I know sometimes when I put these polls up in my community tab, which by the way, keep an eye on my community tab because I definitely put these polls up there, it's always really interesting to me to see sort of where you guys land. And it makes me always a little bit curious about where I'm going to land myself. And I don't make my final decisions on any of these pairings until I bring them into this video with you guys. So I will be making all these decisions essentially like live during this video, not live because it's pre-recorded, but you know what I mean? Like I'm making the decisions right now as I'm recording. So you get to kind of see that process unfold. Sometimes I have an idea of where I'm leaning, and then I pull them out and I start talking about them, and then I go a totally other way. So we are going to see how it all plays out. Our first pairing is going to be the Star Tarot by Kathy McClelland versus the Cosmic Slumber Tarot by Luminal 11. Now, again, I'm going to post the poll for you guys to take a peek at. Another closer call here where the Star Tarot eked out in front of the Cosmic Slumber Tarot 57% to 43%. So let me talk about the Star Tarot first. Gosh, I've had this deck for a while. This is the earlier edition. This deck has since been reprinted, and it's been reprinted on matte cardstock. I think the guidebook is the same. This is one of the best tarot deck guidebooks I've ever read. I have read the entire thing, and I've done a lot of work with this deck. This was definitely one of those decks that sort of shaped the way I would come to interpret the tarot after I had it. And I love decks like that. They sort of become these stepping stones to further developing my relationship with the tarot. I'm also incredibly fond of my edging, my modification to this deck. I did scissor trim this one, so it's a little bit rough around the edges, but I then edged it in all these gorgeous like sort of purples and blues, and I based the colors on the Peggy bag that I matched to the deck, which ironically, now that I've had this deck for a long time, like this actually should have a totally different size Peggy bag now because it's in a standard bag because the cards were huge when they had their borders on them, and now it could practically fit sideways in her standard. So it technically needs a small, but of course this fabric is long gone and I matched it to the fabric, so you know, what do? You keep it in the bag. That's what you do if you're me. You can also tell this was an OG Peggy bag because it was before she moved to standardized cording. And these cords, while pretty, are not as nice as the cords she uses now. But anyways, I digress. So, okay, here's the thing about this deck. This is pretty, I would say, fairly heavily influenced by the Thoth. And actually, I really enjoy this deck. Now, the reason I paired it with the Cosmic Slumber, which I don't want to forget to mention, the reason I put these two in the same category, I think I had this question actually on the community tab when I did the poll, is because both of these feel very dreamlike and very very colorful in their imagery, and also very imagery heavy. I don't know how else to describe that, but they both feel like they take me to a place that is not grounded on the earth so much as it feels like a spiritual plane or like a dream plane. There's a lot of bright, vivid colors in both decks, but the Star Tarot, and you can see I even used silver Sharpie to note the alchemical symbol for the card and its number. So this modification, taking it down to its borderless version, I really bonded with it through that process, to the point where when the reprint came out, I was like, oh, I could have bigger cards, and they're now borderless. They've got the titles on the bottom and they're matte. I couldn't bring myself to buy it because I'm so bonded to this original glossy version that I trimmed down to be this like size. And it is one of my only decks that I have in my collection. I have a very select few that I could say are at least loosely based on the Thoth Tarot, and yet are still very, very readable to me and feel accessible to me, despite the fact that I still have yet to study the Thoth. It's still on my to-do list. But I really enjoy this artwork quite a lot, and I feel like this deck has just taught me so much. I don't know if I could bring myself to let it go. That said, yeah, this is a very Thoth Fool card. That being said, I don't read with it a ton, but neither do I read very much with my Marielle Tarot. And there was no way I was going to pit this and the Marielle together, because it would be no question to me in that situation. I feel like they share a lot of depth in common. I don't know. Now, there is a part of me that's like, but I don't read with this that often. But the guidebook is just so dang good. It's such a beautiful deck. And again, I do feel like this is one that I could pull out and just read, even though the artwork has so much symbolism to it. I feel like I can still see the scene and understand kind of what's happening in the cards. So yeah, I don't think my Star Tarot is going to go anywhere. The only regret I really have is this was before I started guillotine trimming and measuring according to the, I guess I'll say, the Don Michelle method. And so the trim is a little choppy, which means my riffle shuffle is a little clumpy, but it's not so bad, and its gloss is really nicely well worn now, so I can easily hand over hand this deck, which is how I typically shuffle it, so it's fine. Plus, the match though, like, anyway. I think the Star Tarot is probably staying. I do want to think about it a little bit because I really am not using it, but the guidebook is so dang good. And I feel like if I studied Thoth, I would get a whole nother layer of meaning out of this deck. I think I'm gonna set it to the side. We're gonna look at the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. Now, I know that I have a tendency to be more critical of decks that are sent to me for review, because I feel like the biggest gift I get, and I'm just repeating myself now, but the biggest gift I get about being able to review decks is getting to get that opportunity to like go through them and parse out the symbology and see what I think. The Cosmic Slumber Tarot, I mean, this is a really pretty deck. This is the limited edition version, so it has the silver gilding on the edges, and it came in the big round tin with the extra goodies. This is a really pretty deck, and it's got lots of vivid colors. It's very dreamlike, and most of the people that I've heard from recently who are working with this deck are working with it as a way to parse dream work in a way. But it's also a very Rider-Waite-Smith friendly deck. I love this Two of Torches and this idea that you could go through either door. I'm pretty sure my walkthrough was a deep dive, which again, that was the gift this deck gave me, was the opportunity to do that thorough walkthrough and sort of see how the symbology was going to show up in the cards. It's really gorgeous. But this is another deck that I got it in. I did my walkthrough. I did actually work with it a couple of times, so it didn't just totally languish. I totally love that the Hanged Man is like in their jammies. I love that. I think this deck has so much to offer, and the artwork is really, it reminds me of a graphic novel. Like I feel like, and I think actually the artist of this deck has done a lot of graphic novel type work, or I could be making that up. I'm sorry if I'm making that up. But Tilly Walden I thought was pretty well known for that sort of illustrative work. But I really have that feel from it, and I think that's almost what it is. I almost feel like if there had been a story to accompany this deck so that I could get to know these specific characters, and like if I could get to know them with more depth, I think I would probably feel differently. But right now, I feel like I just appreciate it for its beauty as an object and not as a deck that I want to read with. So I think that's really all I need to know. Oh my gosh, I love the High Priestess, and I love how she has that door in herself. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. There's some really cool things. The little mini person in each of the aces. I mean, there's just some really cool little things about this deck that I genuinely appreciate, but I think I appreciate it as somebody who just loves learning about the tarot more than I appreciate it as a tool I want to actually use. So I think that's my answer. So I do think the Cosmic Slumber Tarot is going to be rehomed, or at least going to go into purgatory for a while until I decide for sure what's going to happen with that. And just a quick disclaimer, I try to remember to mention this whenever I talk about rehoming or decluttering decks. I always hold on to them for like a holding period. So I tuck them away, they get put away, and I wait, because I don't want to be too hasty. And if I find myself missing that deck or wishing for it or looking for it, then I know that it needs to come back out and not move on just yet. So I don't like to be hasty. It's going to stick around for a while, but it'll be in a purgatory kind of drawer for a while. So that's what's happening there. Okay, next up is a really hard one for me. We're going to be pairing the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition with the Inspirational Tarot. Oh, I'm zoomed in. Well, there we go. Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition and the Inspirational Tarot. Oh, okay. Let me pop the poll up and then we'll talk about these two different decks. So the Inspirational Tarot, it looks like 34% of you prefer that deck and 66% of you prefer the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition. Oh, okay, so before I dive into either one, and I'll start with, I will start with the Tattoo Tarot because that was your guys' favorite, but I want to talk about why I paired these together because these are my favorite, both of them, my favorite pip decks ever. Particularly when I'm thinking of non-Marseille, non-traditional pips, these two decks are spectacular in my opinion. I think they're both really, really beautiful. But they have different things going for them, so I'll talk about that a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to let either one go, but let me start with Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition because that was your guys' clear favorite. This is such an affordable, great deck, and I think really, really great if you're thinking of diving into pip decks and you're just not sure where to start. I think this is just a really aesthetically beautiful one. I love the backings, even though the backings seem just a little bit brighter than the fronts. Over time, they seem less bright, but when I first got them, they seemed like really different on the back than the front. Anyway, there's something about the quality of this cardstock that I really, really like. I'm amazed that this deck is as inexpensive as it is. I love the backings. They remind me of playing card backs. This deck gives me all of those like magical cartomancy kind of feels. But I also really like all of the artistic details on the pips. I think there's the stuff that you can play with there from an intuitive standpoint, which is really kind of neat. There's a arrangement to the pips that isn't entirely traditionally Marseille. It is here in the 10 of Wands, and in the 9 of Wands apparently, and in the 8 of Wands. Are these in order? Are these in order? These are totally in order. Oh my God, that's so funny. These are totally in order. Oh, I think I was playing with these recently for a project. Okay, anyways, I'm distracting myself. I really love the majors. They're very Rider-Waite-Smith, but they've got all these tattoos on them. There's this thing, when I do readings, particularly when I'm doing fast-paced, quick-fire, or live readings, I always like to have a pip deck at hand. And this is the one I found myself always reaching for. Let's get into another minor arcana suit here. Yeah, I guess it is kind of Marseille themed, but there's little hints in some of the cards to the Rider-Waite-Smith. Like here in the 8 of Coins, there's a little anvil and a light bulb, and you get the idea of skill and mastery like you would in the Rider-Waite-Smith. Here in the 7 of Coins, there's this hourglass, which could definitely speak to that sort of need to wait and see how things turn out. There's a letter passing in this 6 of Coins, or could be a little bit of an exchange of money or some kind of reciprocation. And it goes on and on. There's actually some really cool symbols tucked away in these cards, and I just really love that about this deck. It's really pretty, and I find myself really enjoying working with it. And you guys, I don't normally like limited color palette decks or decks with muted colors, but there's something about this deck from the moment I got it, I just loved it, and I don't know what it is. I just really, really enjoy this deck. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so hard. Okay, so that is the Tattoo Tarot. Then there is the beautiful Inspirational Tarot. Oh, this one is so tough. Okay, so this deck was gifted to me, and this guidebook is incredible. This deck, and I believe they're sold separately, the deck and the guidebook, assuming they're still available. I will have links to everything. Hopefully they are. This guidebook has such a gorgeous sort of self-worth and self-care feel. There is a little pamphlet that comes with the deck that has like a synopsis of the meaning of the cards on it, as you can see, like a little fold-out thing. Gosh, and these cards are so pretty too, look. So, okay, let me talk about the artwork and then I'll gush about the book as well. So this deck also has a limited color palette, but it's got all these like black and white figures in the foreground or symbols in the foreground, and then it's got all this beautiful like purple and blue and teal in the background. And here's the thing. This is another pip deck that nods to the meaning of the cards. Like here we have the spilled cup and the 5 of cups. Here in the 10 of swords, you have all of them kind of clashing into one another. You have something growing in the ace of pentacles. Clearly I like to work with reversals with this deck. Look at the cups clinking and the 2 of cups. This is really pretty. I don't know if I'm going to be able to let this one go. I was really thinking about it because usually when I'm grabbing for just a pip deck to have handy, I'll grab the Tattoo Tarot. Oh, and I love the celestial bodies in this deck. This has a really beautiful feel to it. And I really like it. I don't know what else to say about it. I really, really like it. And I think what blew me away is at the time I was gifted this deck, I had zero interest in pip decks, zero. But I worked with this deck and I read entries from the guidebook and it just blew my mind. So when I'm working with this for like just doing quick fire readings, it just functions really well as a Rider-Waite-Smith themed pip deck. Like look at the 7 of cups and how each cup is a little different. Beautiful death card. Oh, these are so pretty. And I mean, really, they couldn't be, this deck and the Tattoo Tarot couldn't be more different from one another. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to let this go. But the guidebook, if I were to read this, I can read this exactly like I can read with the Tattoo Tarot for clients, right? Or for quick readings. They both operate very similarly. They both let me work with pips with less clutter, give really zippy readings, which is one of the things I like about working with pip decks. Both have nods to Rider-Waite-Smith here and there. This one gives me sort of old school cartomantic kind of magic-y vibes. And this one, it just feels really nurturing. And the reason it feels nurturing is because the guidebook is written in a really nurturing way. And that's what I keep stopping and starting myself from saying. But the guidebook is really, really beautifully written. And so much thought and care has gone into this guidebook. The messages are just really well written. I never would have thought that this deck would have been one that I would so enjoy, but I do. I don't think I can let it go. I was so sure going into this. I was like, oh, it's going to be easy. Tattoo Tarot will definitely win. I need to put this tuck box away because this deck is going nowhere. And this is what I do, by the way. I store my decks in Peggy bags, and I don't like to keep the tuck boxes, so let me just show you what I do. I open the bottom. Like, I even got the tuck box out because I thought this deck was going to lose this pairing. Anyways, and I fold it all the way flat like that so that when I store the boxes, they stay really nice and they don't get damaged in storage. And then if I ever do rehome it, I can pull the box out of storage and rehome it. But that's clearly not going to happen here. I'm going to also tuck its little pamphlet into here because I don't need that because I've got the big guidebook. And I'm going to tuck the extra cards. Well, that didn't go according to what I thought was going to happen. Okay then, I'm keeping these both. Well, that's a thing. Also, I have these in kind of a soft bag that says "Wish upon a star." I think it says on it. Dream by the light of the moon, or dance by the light of the moon. It's got this like really kind of pretty sort of starry night feel to it. Anyways, okay, well that's staying. We're not making much progress here, and this is definitely staying. I knew this was probably not going to go anywhere, but I thought these were filling the same. Yeah, I'm not going to let this go. What am I even doing? Okay, yeah. Lisa, get a grip. This is what we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to set this over here. So out of 4 decks, I've only let go of 1 so far. So there's that. All right, so next pairing. I feel like this particular this or that is going to just be extra tough on me. So nobody gasp and alarm, please. But this is the Darkness of Light Tarot and the Stretch Tarot. Let me pop up the poll and then I'll explain my reasoning for this pairing. So y'all overwhelmingly prefer the Darkness of Light Tarot of these 2 decks. Let me explain my pairing. So the Stretch Tarot is a fantastic deck and is one of my few decks that has keywords on it that I really enjoy. And the Darkness of Light is actually a tarot that's only recently come into my collection by way of my Say Yes to the Deck series. I paired these because they both have this sort of like dark, moody kind of feel to them. I don't know if this was a mistake or not. We might not be making progress today, guys. I'm really not sure how this is going to go. Okay, well, you guys prefer the Darkness of Light, so let me talk through this first. So first of all, I was gifted the lovely full guidebook of this deck, and I'm so grateful to have it. I have not even dived into this yet, but I cannot wait to do it. And to be completely fair, I haven't even worked with this deck yet. This is the most recent edition of the Darkness of Light Tarot. It's on a beautiful linen cardstock. My deck is still in order. Yeah, it's still in order. I think I did my walkthrough for this deck, and I have not played with it since. I know I'm not going to let this go. I know I'm not going to let this go. So this isn't really a question of like which one will stay and which one will go. It's more a matter of, am I going to keep the Stretch Tarot now that I have this? And I think that's because, again, the Stretch Tarot has a very similar moody feel to me. There's a really neat vintage quality to the Stretch Tarot. So you can see I have it in this fun vintagey sort of cigar box kind of bag, which really suits it. And I actually got the Stretch Tarot during, I wasn't going to. The creator, Joseph Stretch, posted something on Instagram about having some like Dents and Dings decks. The boxes were damaged, and my deck had like no visible damage. And I edged mine in black. This artwork, this is the card. This is literally the one card I cannot stand in this deck. And if I just set that aside for a second, I think I really enjoy most of the rest of the artwork. It's like vintage photo collage. I do really like the keywords, but they're not on every card. Like there's no keywords on the Major Arcana. There's keywords on the Minors. But I will say that this is one of those decks where I have at times found the keywords to be a little bit limiting. And you know what? I'm looking at it now and it's not giving me any like excited, happy vibes. I did use this a lot in like live readings on either this channel or the second channel I was playing around with, my tarot reading channel, which has totally languished, by the way, because one channel is enough. Thank you very much. But, and it did a really good job in client readings. And I think that's one of the reasons I've held on to it for as long as I have. But if I'm being honest, I don't reach for this ever. It does pair really, really beautifully with the Vintage Wisdom Oracle deck. Like they're a perfect pairing. And I think this is one of the decks I maybe even shared in my Perfect Pairs video. I found out about that pairing, or first discovered that pairing through Mary Grace Faroon's channel, because she had paired these two decks and it was such a great combo. I think that's Godiva. Oh, recognition. That's actually, I think, one of my keywords for the Six of Wands. Anyway, okay. I'm just like looking at these because I'm waiting for a feeling and the feeling's not coming. And I think the thing I thought I was more attached to these than I am. I think I like that there's keywords, but beyond that, I don't really enjoy this deck. And I might actually check with Peggy and see if this is a deck that she would enjoy playing with, because she reads with the guidebook. So she does really enjoy decks with keywords. So she might like having this in her little collection. But yeah, this is the only card I actively dislike because it's weird to me. I don't get it. If you get it, if you get this card, this is Creation, the Ace of Wands, and it looks like some kind of mortal wound or like a bone, or like, it just looks like something biological and gross to me. And there may be something else happening in this card and I just haven't been able to see it yet. I'd be super curious. If you're watching this, what is your take on the Ace of Wands and the Stretch Tarot? Let me know in the comments down below, because yeah. Also, I have a thing about 9 of Cups and like a dude with 9 cups. I don't know. It's just not my favorite. So there's like not a lot of, there's no cards in here that I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite depictions of blah. It's got a neat, cool kind of vibe to it, but it's nothing I miss when I'm not reaching for it. So I do think I can let this go. When I first pulled it out, I was like, I don't know if I can. I love the backings. The backings are so cool. And it really does feel like kind of aged in the hand, and the way that the art's distressed around the borders, and just, it's really cool, but I'm not going to use it. So I will check with Peggy. She might actually like this because of the keywords. So I'm going to set this in a separate pile to like show her when I'm done here. But, that's going to go, and I'm going to definitely, of course, be keeping the Darkness of Light Tarot. I don't actually think the reason I'm letting the Stretch Tarot go is because these two are as similar as I thought they were. I think they're actually very different in feel, but I'm glad I looked at them both during this video. But, you know, Darkness of Light was new. It wasn't going anywhere, so it's kind of cheating. It was more a question of, am I going to keep the Stretch Tarot now, you know? Okay, our next pairing is going to be the Enchanted Map Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid and Jenna De La Grataglia versus the new Shaman's Dream Oracle, also by Colette Baron-Reid, but also Alberto Villoldo and Jenna De La Grataglia. So I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea. We'll see, but let me pop up the poll so you guys can see how y'all voted. And it looks like overwhelmingly you guys voted for the Enchanted Map Oracle as your favorite of these two decks. I have the newest version of the Enchanted Map. I did rehome my first edition. And then the Shaman's Dream Oracle just came out. Now, this is, I think, fair-ish because these are both new versions, new decks in a sense, because the Enchanted Map Oracle cards were just redone in this new box and new card design, and there were some changes made to the cards. But I had the first edition of this deck for a long time, loved it. So full disclosure about my bias. The Shaman's Dream Oracle I have talked about on the channel. I talked about it actually in my last anti-haul, and I think I talked about this as decks I regret purchasing, and that is true. So we are going into this pairing with some bias. I have had good experiences with the Enchanted Map, and I don't know about the Shaman's Dream, but this is my chance to give it kind of one last shot. But let's start first by looking at the Enchanted Map Oracle. You know, even though I repurchased this deck and I worked a ton with the first edition, I don't know how I feel. And I think that's partly because I'm kind of wondering if my season with this deck, if my time with this deck is at an end. Let me zoom us in so we can see the artwork. I do love the changes to this edition. We have artwork that takes up the full card. I think I had trimmed my other version to bring it down to the artwork. I'm not as fond of the little title bars here because on the original version it was almost like parchment, like a map, and a different font that I think fit the cards better, but that's okay. They're still glossy, which I'm so glad because I kind of really strongly dislike Hay House's most recent cardstock. So this looks like it got in just under the wire. Still glossy, but lovely. This is a very dreamy deck, and I do love it. I also, though, have Colette Baron Reid's Wisdom of the Oracle, and I may prefer that deck these days, but I don't know. This is home. This is really pretty. And some of the changes, they also brought in a little bit more diversity when they updated this deck, which I do appreciate because this one's been around for a long time. I love this Peaks of Joy card. Far prefer this over the original. It's gorgeous and I love it. This is really pretty. I always loved this Cleaning House card. And there's a lot of really wonderful sort of soul healing and like trauma healing that I think happens with this deck. And I think the guidebook is really good for that. Yeah, I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I'm crazy. Why did I even put this in here? It's not fair. I think I was bullying the Shaman's Dream Oracle. I think that's what I was doing. I was like, well, I'm going to pair you with something I know I'll keep. That's so cheating. I was a cheater pants. That's what happened. I cheated. This is not going anywhere. What was I even thinking? And this rock bottom card is everything. Because you need that in a deck like this, right? Oh, Ride the Wave. Oh, I love this deck. Okay, I love this deck. What am I even thinking? Okay. I think just because it was new and I hadn't yet like energetically bonded with this specific copy, I was like, oh, it's fine. I might be willing to let it go. Or some part of me was just like, let's get the Shaman's Dream Oracle out of here. Okay, let's revisit this one. I think I'm just having a whole moment about this deck specifically because of the cardstock. I love the new twist with this magnetic book style opening to the box. This is one of my favorite types of boxes. I do hate the backs, and I haven't gotten over that. I don't think they match the cards or the theme of the cards at all. I don't like it. I don't get it. I know that it's supposed to be probably like a door, which is a cool theme, but I just think artistically it just does not work because you have all these like purples and blues, and then you have this like this. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't like Hay House's new cardstock. But I'm going to try to take this deck at face value without my feelings about the cardstock getting in the way. Because like really at the end of the day, let me shuffle it. Is it really that bad? Am I just being dramatic? Am I being a princess? Am I being a cardstock princess? Like it shuffles nice. It's kind of got that scratchiness. I don't know. But I've got other decks that have this and like it doesn't bug me like this. So I think... Okay, let me think about it. So Sky Bridge, Possibility for Union, Curiosity. I'm going to not look at the titles. I'm just going to look at the key phrases at the bottom. Getting Back to Integrity, The Divine Feminine. Yeah. No, I just don't like it. I don't like it. Why don't I like it? I feel like I love Jana De La Cortaglia's art. Me Talks, repairing the body, mind, spirit. I don't know. There's something that feels, you know what it is? This is such a pretty card. This is one of my favorites. Well, my camera cut me off and I don't know where it cut me off at, but I did point out this Mindful card is one of my favorite cards. And I was trying to articulate what it is about this card deck and why, because I feel like I don't like it. Like I just flatly don't like it. And I'm trying to figure out, am I just bitter about the card stock? But I don't think that's entirely it. I think energetically, here's the thing. I think this deck feels forced to me. It just feels forced. I wish there was a better way to, I wish there was more words I could use to kind of explain what I mean, but that's exactly what it feels like. It just feels like, it just feels forced. That's just a purely subjective thing. I've got nothing to base that on. The perfect storm, the courage to step into life. I think there are some people who are going to love this. And the artwork is gorgeous. This is a little out of place, but it does make me giggle. And I think that is kind of the point of this card. I think it's supposed to jar you a little bit and give you that smile. Like objectively, it's beautiful. Objectively, I do feel like there's some really great keywords and themes in the deck, like First Breath, Beginner's Mind. That's a great theme. This deck is so not for me, and I just don't know what it is. And I think I sometimes wonder if I should have spent more time getting to know the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which I rehomed a long time ago, but I just never bonded with that one. And that one was so aesthetically beautiful. The cardstock was gorgeous. The book was gorgeous. Everything was beautiful about that deck, but I just never really bonded with it. And it just, I don't think it was meant for me. And this one doesn't feel meant for me either. And I wanted it so badly. I wanted this so badly to be my Mystical Shaman, but it's so not. It's just not. And I can't put my finger on exactly why, but this is definitely, this is definitely not meant for me. Whale Song's a really pretty card. It's just not meant for me. It just feels disjointed in my hands. It feels like I'm just looking at it. You know what it feels like? It feels like when you're like at a store and you're like looking at decks or something and you're just browsing and just like flipping through things, but you feel nothing because you know those decks just aren't, like, you would never buy them. That's what this feels like. And I think online shopping is the only reason this ended up with me, because I think if I'd have picked this up at a store, it would have never come home with me. So like, I need to get over it and just let it go. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. So the Shaman's Dream Oracle is not meant for me. And as always, have I given the disclaimer this episode? I'm sure I have. Yes, it's not immediately leaving. It's just, it's gonna go. I'm gonna think about it. We'll see. I'm gonna sit on it for a while in case this is just me being in a bad mood about the cardstock or something. But I don't think, and you can't have this bag either. I'm cranky at this deck now. I don't want it. It's going away. It's probably not going to stay. Let's be honest. All right, but I am going to keep the Enchanted Map Oracle. I can't believe I even had that moment. I do think part of me was just mad at the Shaman's Dream and trying to sort it out. Okay. All right. Last pairing of this episode. Am I already at the last pairing? I feel like I'm kind of zipping along here pretty quickly. It's probably not that quick, but it feels quick. And this one is the Plant Spirit Oracle by Dana O'Driscoll versus the Oracle of Essences, and this is by Monica Finazzo. And this actually does have a sturdy 2-piece box that it comes with. Okay, so before I get talking about the decks and babbling about my reasons, let me just pop the poll up on the screen for you. So we do have a pretty clear winner again of the Plant Spirit Oracle by Dana O'Driscoll versus the Oracle of Essences. So you guys preferred this deck. Let me get the actual cards out. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Plant Spirit first, but first a quick note on why I paired these. So I have a real hard time finding decks that are based on plant or natural energies that resonate with me. And I don't know what my problem is, but I'm really picky. And I truly thought that this Oracle of Essences was going to be it. I love the production quality. The Oracle of Essences is based on essential oils. Can we talk for a moment about these backings? Anyways, okay, sorry. No. I'm not going to do the thing. We'll talk about them individually in a moment. The reason I paired these together is because they both feel like they capture plant energies. That's why they're in the same category. Before this, I had other herbal and plant-based decks that have I think all of them have found their ways off to the purgatory drawer or off to new homes. I think these are like the last ones that I have. So I'm hoping one of them is going to stay at least. So that's why I put these together. I just have a really hard time. I think I need to find which one I'm going to focus on. And then until I really bond with one, I need to not get any others because I always want them and then I never work with them because I think it's just too much to learn or too much to kind of get to know. I don't know. I don't know. That's my thinking. So let's start with talking about the Plant Spirit Oracle. Now, Dana O'Driscoll is the creator of the Tarot of Trees, which is a lovely little deck that I do still have in my collection. It survived a previous this or that. Sorry for the spoilers if you haven't watched all the episodes. So let's talk about this. So this, I believe I got this in, yes, I got this in a trade. I so want the Tarot of Trees to come out with a box like this and cards like this, like desperately. And if you have the Plant Spirit Oracle, and if you have the newest small version of the Tarot of Trees, if you could just confirm for me in the comments down below the similarities and differences between the cardstock, because this cardstock is gorgeous and I love it. I also love the backings of this deck. Anyway, so objectively speaking, here's what I like about this deck, and then I'll talk about what I like about the Oracle of Essences, and maybe we can compare and I'll figure out which one I'm going to focus on, because I think I'm only going to keep one of these regardless, and I really don't know which one it's going to be. I'm leaning this way, I think, but we'll see. So what I like about this is I love the art style. I think it's really, really pretty, and I love how we have a very clear title telling us what the herb is that we're focusing on, and three, is there 3 on every single card? I think there are 3 keywords. I am a sucker for this because I feel like it makes the deck really usable. I don't have to know, well, earth, okay, that's fair. I don't have to know anything about wild yam, but when I pull this card, I'm going to be looking at it for intuition, omens, and femininity. In a reading, if I pull the Great Web, now this is about the mycelium, which is actually, this card has so much more meaning to me because Peggy's been playing around with mushrooms for a while now. Like, don't get your minds out of that place. No, she's just like literal mushrooms, like oyster mushrooms. So there's been a lot of talk in my house about mycelium lately, but anyways, this has a whole meaning for me. But so this is the Great Web, interconnection, kinship, and symbiosis, but I do think it's about the mycelium because you see that, anyway, babbling. Blackberry, we have entanglement, trapped, and powerlessness. So I really like, this feels very usable to me. And I'm really drawn to this art. I think that may end up being a tipping point for me. It's really, really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And this is based on herbs. I don't think it is based on oils. But I'm sure it could apply to both, question mark. I'd be curious, if you have this deck, I would love to hear your feedback on this, or if you have the Oracle of Essences in the comments below this video, please share some of your thoughts because I think I could easily be swayed in this one, but I really do like the artwork, I think, the most on this deck, but we'll see. I think what I really, really appreciate the most, though, is having a title and then having several keywords. That's something, one of the first Oracle decks I ever worked with thoroughly was the Tao Oracle, and that deck has a similar kind of thing. It's got like a main title and then it's got several keywords, and I loved that about that deck. It just made it so usable. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna stop looking at this now, but it is very, very pretty. The cards are big, but they're not unwieldy. I have bigger hands. That's not really a big issue for me. And it comes in a nice box. I do think I really like this one. What I'm really excited about, though, is how thick and like substantial. Oh, I just noticed something. Oh my gosh, you guys, I haven't even looked at this book yet. Like, how bad is that? But I just noticed something really interesting. It looks like for every single herb in this deck, you get keywords, a bit about the herb, divination message, and it looks like it's resources, wealth, personal action. Is that the same thing for all of them? No, just different sort of sections for each herb. So like catnip has opposites, separation, contrast, and it really helps you to get to know it. And then there's a section on herbalism for every herb and a recipe for every herb. Okay, I'm really excited about that, actually. What the heck? There's a recipe on every card? So, oh my goodness. Okay, sorry, I'm having like a little moment because I didn't realize that was the case. Turkey tail infused vinegar, or, oh my gosh, what's all this in the back? Clearly I need to take a look at this book, you guys. Oh my goodness. Chapter 4, Inner Work, making offerings to the plant spirits, communicating with plants and trees, Plant Spirit Ally Journey. Okay, I'm kind of excited about this book. I thought it was just like a guidebook, but it's clearly, oh, hello, it says right on the front, Oh my God. It says right on the front, meanings, recipes, and journeys. But again, keep in mind, I did get this deck and book in a trade, and I just had not taken any time with it yet. So I'm actually like super excited about this right now. So I think we know which way I'm going to go with this, but let's take a look at the Oracle of Essences. It's not even really all that fair. Now, I will admit, I have a little bit of issue with essential oils. For those of you with pets, I cannot state this strongly enough. You have to be so careful of essential oils. And I have 2 dogs who I love with my whole heart and soul. And we had an essential oil incident with one of our dogs. So Shayla was dealing with some skin irritation, and I, in my infinite wisdom, totally underestimating the potency of essential oils and having no idea what I was doing and being an absolute idiot and not looking it up first, thought, oh, some tea tree oil would be great for her skin condition. And next thing you know, she was in the emergency vet, and it was super scary, and like she couldn't walk. It was horrible. Like there's tea tree oil toxicity that can happen in dogs. There's a whole bunch of other essential oils that can be harmful to dogs and to pets. So I'm kind of mad at essential oils right now, and I have been since that incident, and I just haven't felt like working with essential oils outside of heavily diluted in oils that I might use to do an anointing oil for myself or something. So when I got this deck, I was diffusing essential oils. I don't do that anymore. Essential oils, even diffused, can be really irritating to pets. And there's a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know that I know now. And I should have known better. Like, I knew essential oils could essentially be medicine, but I just didn't, I don't think I really felt that way about them at the time. Anyways, essential oil rant aside, please always check essential oils. Any essential oils you're using in your life or around pets or kids or skin or whatever, always please do your homework, because they are potent. They are medicine. They should be treated like medicine. Anyways, okay, sorry. Side rant aside, it's a really scary thing, but I actually don't have very many essential oils even in the house anymore. I have a couple that I really enjoy. I have lavender, which lavender oil heavily diluted in coconut oil actually was excellent for Shayla's skin, and I did do my research on that. But anyways, all of this to say that I only have like 2 or 3 essential oils. I don't think I'm ever going to have like a library of essential oils in my apothecary or anything like that to work with magically, because I just don't want to. So I think that's actually what created the disconnect for me with this deck, because when I first got it in, I was really excited. I actually thought I would get a lot of the essential oils referenced in this deck and maybe do some magical work with them and like use the deck in conjunction with them. But I think that's really what ultimately changed things for me, is that it wasn't long after I got this deck into my collection that I just really broke up with essential oils in a lot of ways. So I don't think this is a deck I'm going to be interested in studying or working with. And nothing against the deck. It's beautiful. And if you do a lot of work with essential oils and you know how to work with them safely, and you're interested in doing that homework and that research and whatever, then I think that's really great. I do think that the guidebook is also really good for this deck. If I remember correctly, yes, you also got a divinatory meaning and an affirmation for every card, as well as some wise words, so like a quote, which I loved about this deck. And there is information about what the essential oil is often used for, and there are multiple keywords in the book, and I think on the cards you also got a couple keywords. Sometimes, like myrrh, compassion, and belonging, but black pepper just has destructive patterns. I did enjoy working with this deck when it was my time to work with this deck, and I just think that time has passed. I really babbled about that, but that's basically the punchline. So I'm actually relatively confident that I'm going to be letting this deck go. Probably will still put it in purgatory, but I'm pretty sure this is going. So the Oracle of Essences, it does have its own box. I think I'm going to rescue my cute little Peggy bag, though, because I love this one so much. I'll have to find something else to go in here, but yeah, I'm going to be letting the Oracle of Essences go. But I am definitely keeping the Plant Spirit Oracle. I also love this embroidered Peggy bag she made with the pentacle on it, and I think that's perfect for this deck. I am really looking forward to spending some more time with this one, because it looks like this one just has a ton of information. Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I'm actually really excited about this book. So let's recap what I am keeping. So I'm going to be keeping the Plant Spirit Oracle by Dana Driscoll, the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition, the Inspirational Tarot, the Enchanted Map Oracle, the Darkness of Light Tarot, and the Star Tarot by Kathy McClellan. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So keeping 6, and I'm going to be letting go of 4. So I've done this before. I think this is, I don't think I've ever let go of less. I don't think. 60% keeping, 40% going. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I would love to hear in the comments down below what you guys think about these pairings, about the choices I made. Would you have made different choices? Do you agree with my choices? Do you want to change my mind about anything? Feel free to make those attempts in the comments down below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do remember to click like if you enjoyed this video or you found value in it. Subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're notified of all my future videos. Thank you so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.